On June 28, 2009, Stephen Hawking hosted a party, but only gave out invitations after the party was over. Why? Because this was supposed to be a party for time travelers. It was the easiest opportunity for any time traveler to prove once and for all that time travel is real. But nobody showed up. And it is a bit of a concern for anybody whose best wish is to be able to time travel. Growing up, we've all seen fiction filled with ways to mend time. Hermione's Time Turner, Doctor Who's TARDIS, or Time Storm. Time travel is a very convoluted idea filled with paradoxes and logical absurdities. In Doctor Who, time is described as a tiny ball of wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. And I agree. But maybe there's one way it could all work out to make time travel real. So how is that no time traveler ever showed up to these fancy parties? And does that mean time travel is not possible? Whatever way time travel might work, it has to be consistent with the fact that no time traveler has yet shown themselves. And it could be that there is something like a time variance authority that stops other people from traveling back in time. But it doesn't make practical sense for it to work that well when time travelers have literally all their time. A more depressing truth might be that time travel is actually quite feasible, but humanity never discovered it, explaining why no one came to Stephen's party. Obviously, it could be that time travel is simply not possible, which is a simpler explanation. But we'll ignore that, because there's no fun that way. Though we'll come back to it in case we don't discover time travel, just so we feel better that it wasn't possible anyway. To understand time travel, we need to know the true nature of reality. The question here is, what exists? When we talk about going back to the past, does that past still exist now that we've already lived it? Does the past still exist and is equally real, or is reality whatever is now and the past is gone, inaccessible in some sense? Oh, let's do one better. Can all of time, even the future, already exist? If and how time travel would work depends heavily upon what the true nature of reality is. There are broadly three ways to go about it. To begin, there's presentism, in which only the present is real. Going back to the past is like taking your present slice to a moment in the past. Would this reset whatever happened and whatever will now happen be independent of whatever had happened? And how would you, a time traveler, keep your present memories and take everything else in the entire universe to a moment in the past? The thing is, even though this resonates quite well with how we usually think about life, truth is, it is not and can't be true. We have theory and evidence that the universe isn't temporally rigid. I just came up with that word. Everybody has their own measure of time. Motion affects the flow of time. So does gravity. Someone else's past might be my future. Whatever I call my present might be yet to come for someone else. So some form of all of reality must be present at all times. The idea of presentism, or an evolving present in which the past is also real but evolves with the present slice, can't be true. Most likely, all of reality, past, present and future, must exist at once in an idea known as the block universe, or eternalism. The reason I say most likely is because this view coming from relativity kinda needs to change a little bit with what we know about quantum mechanics. The word is inherently probabilistic, and this block picture needs to have that in it somehow. I've got videos, but TLDR, some form of a block universe must exist for reality to make sense as we know it. So this sets up our ground rules. The universe with all of its time is present somewhere in a 4D structure. Traveling to a different time is like taking yourself to a different slice of this block universe. Cool of me to say that, but is that even possible? You know, in some sense, the name time travel is kind of very appropriate, because if time travel actually works out in this block universe, it would be a lot like travel, where your journey would take you to a different moment in time than what you thought was your present. Reaching your own past requires you to traverse a path that is popularly known as a closed time-like curve, a path that takes you to your own past. It's easier on a space-time diagram. The vertical axis is time and space is horizontal. The units are chosen so that light rays travel at 45 degrees. Because nothing travels faster than light, the region here marks your future light cone. This includes all the events you could influence starting now, within the realms of physics. Similarly, this part here is your past light cone, all the events that could affect you. And this horizontal line is everything that you would call your present. So, how do we go back to our own past? Well, in relativity, space and time are squishy. When we move, they transform. Movement transforms our space-time axis. When we aren't moving, we have a particular set of events that we may think of as sharing our present. But once we start moving, the space-time axes transform, and with them, the events that we may think of as our present also change and may now include events that were in the past of our non-moving self. So all we've got to do now is to get there fast enough. But it isn't easy. I mean, it's quite impossible because it requires fast and light speeds, which last I checked was impossible. Or wormholes that require exotic energies to create peculiar space-time geometries, also considered to be impossible.
I'm almost through the breach! No, stay open!
Which means in some sense, with known physics, time travel to the past looks kinda like a no-go. To many, this is the universe's way to remain logically consistent. Stephen Hawking called it the chronology protection conjecture. Big words. You gotta come up with them when people don't come to your fancy parties. I shouldn't have said that. How big are these inconsistencies? Let's talk them out and think about if there is a way for the universe to have time travel and still be logically consistent. Suppose a time traveler travels back in time with the complete intention to kill their grandparents. Can he do that? I mean, if yes, then wouldn't he stop himself from being born in the first place? Then how did he even make that journey? If not, what stops him? Morality? Love? I mean, he could be a good person at heart. I know it's weird because we are wired to think that we can choose to do what we want. Normally, there's no problem because we don't know what is supposed to happen, and so we can't conspire to do the opposite. But going back to the past, we know what happened. You clicked on this video. If you go back in time, could you stop your past self from watching this video? I hope not. I mean, I see no reason why you might want to do that. Reconsider. So if we go back in time, can we do things differently and change the future? First, we don't know. Second, there's at least one thing that's quite apparent, and that is, to resolve this problem, we either have to revisit the structure of time or give up the notion of free will. One way is to accept that past is past and cannot be changed. Seems like my counselor was up to something. Whatever happens now is led by events in the past that already has all the time travelers in place. If we go back, that past was always there. So why can't I kill my past self? Well, it's not like I can't. It's more like I didn't. I know, it sounds absurd, as if there is no free will. But even in the present, do we have free will? How do we know it's not one giant illusion? But if that matters to you, if you really want time travel to be a lot more fun, maybe there's a better way. What if we have misunderstood time? We always think of time as a linear flow, one-dimensional, past leading to the present, going to the future. What if we restructure this notion to make time travel more fun? What kind of restructuring are we talking about here? Multiple timelines woven together, sort of like a Mobius strip. Minute Physics had a great video. But essentially, suppose I go back in time and kill myself. Sad. But let's keep going. Since I've killed myself, this version of me can no longer go back in time to kill me, since it's dead. This timeline loops back to the moment when I did exist, with no future me that would kill me. And so I keep existing, and later on can go back in time to kill myself. Confusing. Yes, it's like two timelines connected in a loop, one reinforcing the other again and again. This was the simplistic example. Trust me, if this has to actually work out, things are gonna get a lot more messy. On the bright side, when you go back in time, you would still not know what you did. It would be like your future, but in the past. However, none of this explains why no one came to Stephen Hawking's party. You tell me. Thanks for watching.